The Wild Empire of Pablo Escobar. A real-life narco king story. All right, let's talk about this dude, Pablo Escobar. You've probably heard the name, maybe from Narcos on Netflix or from history class if your teacher was cool enough to go beyond textbooks. But Escobar wasn't just some random drug dealer. This guy basically ran a whole empire. Like, not mafia-style small-time gangster. I mean full-on country-controlling, billionaire-level drug lord. So let's break down his story, who he was, how he rose to power, how big his drug business really got, and how he fell. Who TF was Pablo Escobar? Anyway, so Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was born in 1949 in Rio Negro, Colombia. He wasn't born rich or anything. Dude came from a humble background. His mom was a teacher and his dad was a farmer. But by the time he was in his 20s, he had already started hustling, like selling fake diplomas, smuggling cigarettes, and stealing cars. Real GTA starter pack. But then, cocaine came into the picture in the late 70s, and boom, that's where his story takes off. The birth of the Medellin cartel. Escobar was one of the main founders of the Medellin cartel, which would become the biggest cocaine operation in the world. I'm talking billions of dollars, private jets, submarines, secret labs in the jungle, and full-on war with the Colombian government. By the 1980s, this man was exporting around 70 to 80% of the world's cocaine, mostly to the US. He was shipping like 15 tons per day. That's just insane. And you know how much money that made him? Estimates say around $420 million a week. Yeah, a week. Pablo Escobar, visiting the White House. Money, power, and literally everything. At his peak, Pablo Escobar was on the Forbes list of richest people, worth more than $30 billion. In today's money, that's more like $70 billion plus. The cartel made so much cash that they had to hide it in walls, bury it in fields, or stash it in warehouses. Rats were literally eating millions of dollars. They even wrote off like $2.1 billion in lost money per year just because of rats, mold, or forgetting where it was hidden. Imagine being that rich that you're like, who cares, the rats took a few billion. But with all that money, Escobar also started trying to be seen as a man of the people. He built houses for the poor, soccer fields, even churches. People in Medellin actually loved him at one point. He was like a narco Robin Hood. The violence was off the charts. But let's not romanticize the dude too much. Escobar was vicious. If you messed with his business or stood in his way, you were dead. Simple. He had this saying, plata o plomo, silver or lead, meaning take the bribe or take the bullet. Your choice. Some of Pablo Escobar's many victims. He killed judges, journalists, police, politicians, even had a plane blown up in 1989, Avianca Flight 203, just to try to kill a presidential candidate. Over 4,000 people were killed because of the cartel violence. Medellin was one of the most dangerous cities on earth because of this guy. The war with the government. The Colombian government tried to fight him, but he had so many people in his pocket that it was like fighting a ghost. He even got into politics. Dude was elected as an alternate member of the Colombian Congress in 1982. Yeah, a drug lord in Congress. Colombia was wild, man. Eventually, the US got involved too. The DEA and the Colombian government teamed up hard. Escobar had this fear of being extradited to the US. That was his biggest nightmare. So what does he do? He negotiates a deal where he'll go to prison but builds his own jail. And that's not a joke. The prison was called La Catedral, and it had a bar, a soccer field, a waterfall, and his own private guards. More like a luxury resort than a jail. The fall of the king. In 1992, Escobar escaped from La Catedral because they tried to move him to a real prison. After that, it was open season on him. The government created a special unit just to hunt him down, search block, plus his enemies like the rival Cali cartel and a vigilante group called Los Pepes, people persecuted by Pablo Escobar, also joined the chase. Search block, the rival Cali cartel, Los Pepes. He was on the run for over a year. On December 2nd, 1993, they finally caught him in Medellin. He tried to escape across the rooftops but was shot and killed. Some say he was shot by the police. Others say he shot himself to avoid being caught alive. Still a mystery. So, what's the legacy of Escobar today? Well, it's complicated. In Colombia, some people still remember him as a Robin Hood kind of figure because of how he helped the poor. Others see him as the monster who destroyed their country. His story is glamorized a lot in movies and series. Narcos really nailed some parts, but also made him too charismatic. The real impact, though, is in the scars left behind. Families destroyed, a country traumatized, and a lesson on what happens when greed and power go unchecked. After Escobar, the drug trade didn't stop. The Cali cartel took over for a while, then came others. The cycle just kept going.